one's trusting you like in your pajamas in your basement with your like homemade skincare, like when there's all these professional brands. And I'm like, I think we got to like over 400K a month, like out of my basement doing fulfillment, like everything. Dude, they have all this content and they have all this conviction. They just need like this angle to like get it on Meta, and then they could freaking 10x their business.
Yo, what up? Welcome to the pod. I got Ben here, who's actually doing some crazy stuff, doing some stuff different to everyone else in ecom, and he's scaling through some crazy cool methods, which we're gonna talk about a lot in this. And he's got some hot takes about the current state of DTC. There's a lot of these direct response demons who are doing these AI ads, fake doctors, things like that. I don't know, Ben has some hot takes about that. He's going the other way. He's launching just his face in front of camera and scaling to 8 figures. Ben, excited to have you.
What's up, dude? Thanks for having me. Excited.
Oh, good, man. Yeah. So tell me about it. Tell me about, I want to know when you started the brand, how long you've been doing it. Did you have a brand before? What's been your journey?
Yeah, so I think like way back it was like 2017. I did some drop shipping, like literally like YouTube, like Sebastian Giorgio or someone, like one of the OG people I started watching, did get some stores going, got a few sales. But the biggest win way back there, because none of those brands went anywhere. They weren't really brands, I guess, but I just learned like the Facebook ads business manager, which is a huge win. Then I kind of fell off for like 4 or 5 years, tried some different side hustles, went back to school. Always loved the idea of like getting a brand going. And then during COVID, I got on Twitter, and it was just like people talking about money Twitter. It was kind of like peak or like just past the peak of like just a lot of cool dudes sharing like everything they were doing. Just like it was threads. Everyone was writing threads, and it was so like, it was so awesome. So I got fired up again, got into freelance marketing. Cause that was one of the other things. I'd started a drop shipping, tried to start like a supplement brand. Dude, I was running ads to like get email signups because I thought that was the way to do it. And it was costing me like $10 to get like an email sign up. I've come a long way since then, but yeah, I decided like to learn them. I was like, I need to learn marketing because I invested all this money. No one wants to buy the product and stuff. Just dove head first into like direct response copywriting and obsessed over that for like 4 years. And so that was my sort of journey back in. Did freelancing, did email marketing, knew I wanted to launch my own brand. And then it was like March of just over 3 years ago, March of 23, had like 2 ideas for a brand, and ended up going with the beef tallow route. Had been to like the carnivore diet and a bunch of my own health stuff. So I was really fired up about that. I was fired up because of like all the COVID like bullshit. And I was like, yeah, we want to go like natural and like, fight back against all the chemicals and stuff. So started then. I still didn't know much in terms of D2C. I knew like, but I think this is maybe where it's like a little bit unique. I wasn't coming out of like a drop shipping community or like I was more just like apply direct response principles to like a product that I believe in, and then have messaging that like resonates with the people that I want to sell this product to. And was very much okay with like not speaking to everybody. So a lot of like direct response principles, but then with like real product, with, actually getting on camera, trying to be as authentic as possible. So that was the start of the brand 3 years ago. Since then, learned from a lot more like people in the DTC community, learned a lot more like the actual unit economics, how all that stuff works out, and have sort of evolved over the journey, but got pretty far, like got past 8 figures with pretty simple ads, pretty simple approach. And yeah, we can chat more about that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, tell me about that. Like it's been a few years. What I always see is there's inflection points, like where your graph is like you plateau for a bit and you go straight up. Was that your story? Were there inflection points, or were they?
So because I was like brainwashed by some of these people on Twitter, just like talking about big numbers, like as soon as I got some ads working, I did know to scale it. Like I was like, hey, if we're break even, I think that's good. So I did keep pushing. So I think like launched some statics. We hit like our first like 1K days, and then it was like 30K days just with some statics. I don't know if people still do those. I was doing like statics and carousels, got to like, I think like 70K a month with just statics and like not that many of them. So part of it was like a hot market and stuff like that. But then it was about 6 months in. So I think like launched in May. I think in November we did like 70K. And then I didn't do videos till like right around Christmas. I did a few like videos that I like edited that started to work, kind of just like mashups. And then I saw someone on Twitter, I don't know who it was, but they were like, do founder ads, like don't overthink it. Like it's a great like type of ad to do that is so low leverage, or sorry, high leverage, low like effort. And so I literally went on for like
Yeah.
2 weeks. I was like, I need to do this. I think this was February. So I was like, I've been thinking about it for a while, and I was like, I'm gonna like literally just pull out my phone and like on this walk film like some founder ads. And dude, those ads, I ended up, some of them are still running in the account, I think 3 years later. And that was when getting some of those videos going. There was still other statics and some other formats that worked, but that has been the biggest pillar of growth that we went from, yeah, so around there like 100K. By that spring, I think we were doing like, gosh, 300K a month. Hit our first. I lose track of the timeline a little bit, but like over the next couple of years, like getting to seven figure months plus eventually, and that's been the single biggest pillar of like creative that has just continually worked. And like I didn't even know how well it was working when I started, and even now I have to remind myself to like film more of these because like the hit rate's like we don't get the ROAS we used to get at scale, but it's like the hit rate's still like 1 in 8 or like 1 in 5, that we can spend 6 figures on. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. And you're literally just so tell me about the founder ads you shoot because you obviously what makes your founder ads good from off the bat, right? What do you think helped you launch really well? Like,
So I think there's principles like of direct response that if you study it for long enough, you do know like you got to get people interested. Like the framework, but translating that to video is sometimes like tough. And so like as I look back on it, I think I was doing some things like I didn't realize I was doing. Like it was a pattern interrupt because of how sort of unedited it was. It was on a walk. I think the first hook that worked was I was wearing the branded hat, and I was like, "Hey, check out my hat here. This is our brand." And then like I actually did some of the things that you say now are almost like, they're not the way to do it, but maybe it stood out more because I don't know if it was earlier, but the first few hooks were like, "Hey, I want to tell you about my brand. Like this is what we're doing." But that fall, like before I started doing the founder ads, someone was doing like a challenge of just doing like daily videos, and so I was on TikTok, not for the brand, just like I was like, I want to do this. Like I'm kind of like a bit afraid to get on camera.
yeah,
Like I want to just like crush this, and so I just did daily videos, and like they didn't really get that many views, but you started to see where it was like if you don't get someone in the first few seconds, like you're like it's dead, and then it's kind of the flow. And so I developed this natural flow of like, hey, you've got a hook, you gotta tell them something, and then there's not really any call to action on like a TikTok video. But with the product, I was just like, okay, get someone's attention, and then tell a bit of the story. Try to stack in like the proof for like the reason this is good, and then like if you want, like click the link below. And then I've kind of refined that more and more, where I've got a pretty good now. Like some of it's just it's a skill you learn, it's intuitive, but there's like a pacing and there's a way to do it,
yeah,
which I think you do learn from TikTok. It's like actually hard selling, but it's like it doesn't seem that hard of selling. But the whole thing, you're like
yeah.
building the case, tapping into desires, providing like evidence of why it's good, credibility, and then like strong CTA. And that's kind of like the framework.
Yeah, yeah, killer. So I like to think about it as like the reason I brought it up is because you said I knew direct response principles, right? So like trying to figure out how to apply it to a founder video on camera. Yeah, that's like basically all you're doing when you're doing a founder video. The founder video is the deliverability system. It's just such a really good deliverability system. And if you can apply direct response principles to it, that's great. However, being on camera is one of the things that people struggle with. So it's actually cool you said that you got those TikTok reps. And I think you
Yeah,
doing it yourself, like were you editing, uploading, and posting all yourself for
100%.
TikTok?
Just like very like sitting in the car type thing. Um,
Yeah,
and dude, like maybe this is helpful. Like I then like I had this videographer come in to do like sort of like a commercial for us, like branded, and he's like, hey, we're gonna roll, and like I'm gonna ask you this. It was awful, dude. I was like, I was my like if my guard was up, and then I was trying to explain it, and it was awkward. And I think what I like about the sort of like TikTok, like just on the go, is that like it's that like talking to a friend type thing. And you know what? Maybe that's like something that I've already forgotten is that like breakthrough of being like, don't try to be like, okay, like action, like now we're live. It's like it's okay if you like whatever you drop something, or you're like sometimes like that's fine. You just got your camera going, and that's part of that conversational thing that takes away the sort of like I think even some people who are going to do this, maybe they're like, hey, we get the camera guy in, like, okay, now I'm here, now I'm nervous, now like this is supposed to be a good ad, and you can't even be like
Yeah,
natural. Where I think if you just like set the bar so low, you're like, yeah, I'm gonna record like I'm saying this to my friend and like telling them about like what I'm doing, like that's sort of the muscle that you build, that then these can come
yeah,
across as really just like low key, and they are.
yeah. So your advice to people if they wanted to get that muscle, like what would your advice be?
I think
Like that?
if you've done
Yeah,
if you've done it all, like any kind of like social media, or you've posted a little bit, like I I don't think you need to go like practice for that long. I think go for a walk, sit in your car, and you can start pretty simple. I'm not saying they'll like kill, but it'd just be like literally. I think you can be like, hey, we're doing this thing. This is my name. Like I think like that's low hanging fruit, and then from there you can iterate. I think definitely like the sort of TikTok, like if you're on TikTok, or if you've seen viral videos on TikTok, sometimes like the like how informal they are is part of it. Someone's like lying on the couch with like their phone or like whatever, um,
yeah,
and it's just that right into the like. There's no. I sometimes think like people qualify it too much. Like I know I said you can introduce yourself or talk about the brand, but like you could also just jump into a story like, hey, like there's this person and they couldn't sleep and it was crazy. Like I don't know. Like you can just jump in. You don't need to make it too formal.
yeah.
Most
100%.
people
Like
won't
one of the
actually
ways.
even most people won't actually just pick up their phone and do the bad one. And so I think like I would definitely say like don't go do any more
Yeah,
research after this podcast. Like pick up your phone. Like I sometimes have my product, and so it's like halfway through I'll be like, yeah, and this is what it is. Like you can read the reviews. But like most people won't even do that. So it's like if you do watch this and you're like, I want to try this, I want to get founder content in the ad account. It's like just make some bad versions and get them in there.
yeah. Just chuck them in the ad account. So I got a similar story. Like when I started TikTok, I started doing it like 3 years ago. I've stopped doing it. And I basically just made like 7 videos a day of me just talking to a camera. And you get the reps. And when you upload it, there's that dopamine hit of like when it does well. And that feedback loop is so strong. I tried to hire someone to write the scripts for me and then, you know, like to try and scale it up and get out of it so I wasn't writing scripts all the time. And it just didn't work. Part of the reason it didn't work, I think, is because they weren't getting the feedback loop I was getting from when I posted it myself, right? And so they didn't sort of understand like what I felt was clunky, what I felt was good, and like what the people were receiving. So yeah, you just get so much good reps just by posting as well. Like you can record it. My advice is just post it, because it actually might rip. But also like you can then look back at it the next day or in a week and 2 weeks and be like, I know what I did wrong here and I know how to fix that. You know what I mean? That's how my brain works, at least.
Totally, dude. I think the feedback loop, there's something there for that, because you kind of almost get the energy. And once again, that's the stuff that you can forget that I think does help, where you're like, if you get into a habit of posting on TikTok, you kind of know, so quickly if it's like that 200 view video, of right away you get like that 1,000 or 2,000. It's like, okay, there's something about that energy that works. And
Yeah,
or I know I try to carry that same energy into the founder ads.
for sure. Yeah. So on your founder ads, go on. Sorry. Yeah. Good.
No, I was just gonna you comment on the script thing too, because I know like there's styles of ads where writing the script is like super important, and that could potentially work even like for founders. But I think people might get hung up on like, what do I say, or like how do you know what to say? And I think that's where the reps do help. But I find like going back to the framework, like you could start anywhere, but like after you do a few of these, you're kind of like, okay, it's like attention, and then it's, yeah, just talk about what you're doing, provide evidence, and then call to action. And so these frameworks, like you're not stumbling. You don't need a script because you can just sort of like play with the different ingredients, but you're like, hey, get the attention, tell a bit of a story. Here's like the benefits or like some evidence, and then like call to action. And it's like,
Yeah, it's like that. So when you do it, like when I used to do it, it's like, okay, I don't know what to say. You're saying the words, and you're like, what do I say next line? I'm just gonna say something about social proof, like, and like people love this, and I sold it to like these two women last week, and they came back to me, and they were saying how great it was, and they gave it to their daughter as well, and their daughter was like all over it. You
yeah,
just chuck that in, and then
yeah,
you're rambling, and it seems natural, right?
yeah,
You know what I mean?
totally.
So on that, I wanted to ask you, your audience, are you your ICP? Are you your customer?
Like yes and no, but not really. I think a lot of it like psychographics, like especially when I started it, which was less so like what age. They used to do this thing where it was like, maybe you still do in some cases, but like where do they live? Like what is their daily life like? Like there's that, but then I think there's also just like where's someone's like mind at? Like they're frustrated with the state of the world or the state of healthcare or a problem that they have. If you can tap into that, like it kind of it can sometimes like go beyond just like the what do you call it, demographic. With that being said,
Yeah.
some of the biggest winners I've had were definitely to a certain like ICP or avatar that is not me, like at all. So
Yeah.
it's like 40 to 60-year-old women with like skincare. Like those were some of the ones that blew up, and it's like I'm a 30-year-old dude. Like it's funny, and some of the comments like someone's like, no one's trusting you like in your pajamas in your basement with your like homemade skincare, like when there's all these professional brands. And I'm like, well, the funny thing is they actually are trusting me. But no, mostly I'm like not. But I think I don't think that needs to be a problem. I think sometimes it can actually build like authenticity. Because dude, one of the ads, and it didn't do that well. I was literally out on a walk, didn't have the product. Like this is when I thought even I needed more of like a plan. And it was just like in a park, and I was like, oh, I'm going to film some founder ads. And the hook was like, oh, I started this brand for men, and it's actually women who keep buying it. And like that one started to work, but it's kind of just because of that like flip up, it's like they're like, what? Well, now I'm curious because like what's this young dude has a brand that like all these women want, like must be a unique mechanism. Like all that psychology starts to come in. So I don't think you need to be your ICP. I think you need to understand them though. And I think sometimes thinking in like that psychographic in terms of like where's their mindset at, instead of like, I don't know what a 60-year-old woman's thinking. It's like, no, you don't, but like, don't try too hard because then you'll miss it.
When you say like don't try too hard or you miss it, like can you like unbundle that for me so people can understand like what you mean? I mean, I think it makes sense to me, but maybe like if you got a specific example, you can tell me like.
So I think that anything that gets like too formulaic for this, like you can start to lose some of like the sauce or like the what starts to work. But I will say that, and I'll try to give some specific examples, like relatability or retelling of something that happened that like genuinely did kind of like amuse you. Like if it's a real thing, and I think this is also important. It's like you can take a pretty simple customer review, customer feedback, where it is something from your avatar, but then you sort of, the way you frame it and the way you tell it builds more curiosity and positioning around it. So I had this one I did recently, and actually I'll talk about this again later because I think there's like a hybrid where you get good at founder ads and then you actually can layer in like a bit of another framework, and they can be kind of like this, like all the good things of like a Yapper ad plus a founder ad. You sort of like hybrid it. So I'm still like figuring that out. But my thought was, hey, it's definitely like I've done ones that kind of flopped, and I don't always know, but it's like it's too general of a hook. It's not really like interesting, and then I go into the same sort of like story behind the brand or whatever. It's got to be that unique, weird thing, which everybody talks about in ads. That's not like new or unique. People talk about like, what's the weird review that sticks out? Like the weird word in a review that sticks out, or the weird experience where you're like, that's how these people talk. That's something they would say. And so this one woman sent me an email and she was like, and don't steal this if it didn't actually happen to you. But she was like, I went in to get like a scar. Like I went to see a plastic surgeon to get like a scar looked at. And he like said my skin looked great. Like, what have I been doing? And she's like, I told him about your product. And he's like, oh, I use beef tallow. My wife uses it too. And so I basically started with, okay, I got this feedback from this woman who went to a plastic surgeon. And then the banner was like, I think it was literally just like, she went to a plastic surgeon. And like, that's like kind of weird because it's like, why did she go? Like, what's going on here? And then I'm not even saying like this works better than plastic surgery. It's just like the unique hook where it's someone's experience where she's like, this happened to me. And then I'm saying, this is kind of crazy. Like if the plastic surgeon says it looks good, like then it really must work. And I'm like, I'm not saying this will work better than plastic surgery, but if you want to try this out, and then I go into the thing. And so I'm trying to come back to like your specific question there where it's like, how do you actually get into the psychology? Sometimes it's just like what they're telling you, or like they'll be like in a review or like my friend said this. And so, sometimes you can just retell like something they've already said, but you put a story on it. And then the other half of it is, and like with my brand, there are times when you can, whether it's religious or political, like those would be more explicit answers. I'm not saying you need to do that, but there's certain attitudes where what people like emotionally respond to, and you can just like lean into that a little bit. So it doesn't have to be like, what do 60-year-old women think about this, but it's like right-leaning people who are fed up with like corrupt like medicine, like they will relate to certain things. And so it's like you can have those. It doesn't need to be that it's young mums. It doesn't need to be that it's 60-year-old woman or like dudes with low testosterone. It's just like, the problems that like a lot of these people have, or like you can figure that out. And then it's just like you tie it back to their situation.
Yeah. Wicked. And I think this is a question which I get asked, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 times a day. Like, it's ridiculous. And you've already answered it a little bit, but everyone always asks me, like, what if I'm not ICP? Should I run the ads? Like, I'm a guy selling to women. And your answer is,
So yeah, yes. The only like disclaimer, maybe this gets a little like the drop shipping thing. Like if you genuinely can't stand behind like what you're selling, or like there is nothing good about it, then that will be more difficult. And I that's why I'm passionate about like you should believe in what you're selling. Like there should be something you can say about it that you don't need. This is where I think people can get messed up, is like if they're starting with nothing behind this other than that they want to sell like a serum to 60-year-old women because that's a good demographic to sell to on Facebook. That's kind of hard because it's like you might be able to say, if you did this, like I put in a lot of research and I'm actually able to sell this same serum that Sephora does, but it's half the price because like they're ripping you off. Okay, there's an angle. Like lean into what you have. But I think you need to have something, and as long as you have something, you can still. You don't need to be the ICP. Like it could be something like let's say it's like to mums, and it's like you can tie it back to like something with your mom that you like felt bad about that she dealt with, and then you're like, so I did this, and I think, yeah, dude, I think sometimes it can actually be better than if you're like the ICP, but I don't know.
yeah, 100%. That's super cool, super insane value. I think it's going to be really encouraging to people watching this. And as anytime someone asks me, I'm just going to send them back again, that clip, just so I don't have to answer it again, which is a perfect answer.
Yeah.
And so here's the thing. Actually, I got a thing on that. So basically, there's like a theory I have. I don't know if it's true, but it's like if you are a person who actually looks different to everyone else you're seeing, like an example is older male like YouTube creators. Like if you're an older male YouTube creator, there's not really many of them, right? Like if you're 60 years old on YouTube,
Dude, I've seen
like
these. They rip. It's like 63-year-old man, like I've wasted my life, or like something like it's like and it's like what the heck? Like this is crazy, or like I wish I'd done this sooner. I've seen those videos. Yeah, it's just like total
yeah,
pattern
right.
interrupt.
Yeah, all of those stuff they crush, and it's just like there's like a million 18-year-olds who want to be YouTube stars. There's probably like 100 like 60-year-olds. So like you come into that category, and it's probably the same in like women's skincare, right? How many men are actually advertising to women? Like women like buying off men, especially if they like, you know, they're into you, they like your vibe and all that stuff. That's gonna help.
Yeah.
So I think it's like actually, yeah, I like what you're saying.
No, that's great, dude. Because that's really like the positioning. Like skincare is like the most competitive market maybe like ever, and so
Yeah,
we don't try to make like the types of ads that a lot of these brands that are way bigger do. It's like there's no way we compete that way. So it's almost like you go hard the other way, and once again, you end up back with the same problems they're trying to solve, which is like or looking younger, dealing with fine lines, all the things that like are pushed with like, magazines and like the big companies and the big commercials. But the positioning is much more this like, here's this other weird way like that we stumbled across, or like, here's the natural way. And you like get in a different way to the same massive market. And yeah, that's an asset. That's not like don't try to like do yeah, it's like don't be the same as everyone else. That it can be an asset, not like a feature, not a bug, to like be the different person in the market.
yeah, I like that. Feature not a bug. Um, so it's interesting when you mentioned that. Is like, I see this a lot, and I don't think you're falling into the trap. But oftentimes when brands get to a certain level, they forget about what got them there, and they stop doing that, right? And they start like they get to eight figures, and they're just like, I want to be like the eight-figure brand now, and then it completely falls apart because they try and be like, I don't know, the L'Oreal, but you can't copy L'Oreal because
Yeah,
everything for L'Oreal just rips, right? Because it's L'Oreal.
yeah,
So
dude, that's a real
that's some
struggle. Like we are growing, and OPEX goes up, and it's like we got to keep this going, and I can't do everything, and I'm dealing with that right now, like trying to keep the soul of the brand and the messaging and the angles there because yeah, you can get away from it, and I think some people like never have it, which is tough because then you're like you don't really have a guiding light. You're
yeah.
always just trying stuff. But for the brands that do have a pillar of like, yeah, this resonated, people like this, it's literally what built your brand. Like, it's important to not forget that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. All right. So tell me more about. I want to know more about like your journey. So you scale pretty quick, and I feel like you're in your biggest scaling season right now. What would you say the toughest part was? Like, what level of scale, or what was a moment, or what's been your biggest problem? 'Cause it seems like the ads are always kind of working for you, or is that not true?
Um, yeah, it's been like the the hardest thing for me has always been more like organizational and operational, which is like maybe for some people like the easy part because it we every time I've run up against a wall like with ads, I just talk to someone with more experience and they're like, dude, you barely do any ads. It's like just do more of what you're doing. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay. Like Hormozy, right? It's like they're like you like it is working. Like just do more of it. And so that has been not like easy, but it's been like that has worked. And so it's only been recently with trying to kind of like hold to a forecast, like sustain growth that I noticed like, dude, even this year we came like January was like kind of the same as like end of last year. February, I was like disciplined. I was like, I'm going to make more ads every week. And February and March, we like doubled, like literally because we had more hits. And then I kind of like fell off a little bit and like we're back down in April. So the challenge now is like, okay, yes, I need to be disciplined. Yes, I need to make creative, but we do need a little bit more of like a creative like system to sustain this. And like we talked about that. But I think going back to like that's why I'm bullish on people like starting like a brand where like there is some substance that they can build around because the bigger you get and the less of like a foundation you have, I think it's harder to like, like it's harder to know where you're going. So the hardest thing is being like, I guess like growing this the way we started it, which is like trying to not just go use like was gonna say like AI doctors, but like trying to keep the authenticity like as we grow has been the challenge. Like we make the product in house. We built this like little factory, like trying to have a good like culture in the company. Trying to learn how to like build a company. Like I'm very creative, more like I just love to just be in a room, like making ads or like writing or coming up with the ideas and the product and then learning everything else. I know I'm like zooming out a little bit, like accounting, taxes, like all that stuff. That like that like slows me down. Dude, the creative, as long as there's like time for me to do it and focus on it, has like never really been a problem. Yeah. Yeah. And I think we're just getting in some ways we're just getting started because like I want to take some swings at like there's founder ads, but then there's like with all the data and learning and knowing our customer, I think there's like bigger swings with creative we could take, like even test out some of those like YouTube ads or like down the road, like things where we could even like see how far we can push some of these more like unique types of creative. But that could be a distraction too. I know we also talked about this. It's like, hey, what's working? What doubling down versus like channel expansion and things like that. So that's kind of like high level, but
Yeah. Tell me about the factory. You made your own factory.
yeah. So I started in the kitchen. I was gonna like get someone to make it, and then I was like making these like bombs and stuff. And I was like, okay, well I can just buy like I'm very impatient. So I was like, well I can buy the ingredients. I can buy like the packaging on Amazon. Like we can get enough to start. And so that's literally what I did. And dude, literally had like paper labels printed off. Like they weren't even like legit for the first products, printing off like full like packing slips and all that stuff. And then like when we started to get some traction with the ads, had an empty basement. So I was like, we'll just get a few bigger pots and things and do it here. And at one point we had like 5 or 6 people working in my basement, like coming every day to like make product, like melting down like beeswax and stuff in these pots. And it was pretty crazy. Like we got to, I think we got to like over 400K a month, like out of my basement doing fulfillment, like everything. And then we got like a small shop, bit of bigger equipment, got that going. And then this summer or like last summer, we invested in like bigger space, like a lot of money into like equipment and stuff like that. So, that's been like hard, but also like super like cool. It's very grounding. It's content. It's very much like in the spirit of the brand. And so I think that's maybe where I kind of wear it like a badge of honor. Like it's been shitty and really hard a lot of the time, but there's so many things to pull from for creative. It's like some of the early founder ads I was like, hey, I'm here like in our warehouse. We make it. We employ people locally. Like I had that to draw on. I'm not saying you need that 100%, but it's kind of like you pick your hard, right? It's like you pick which hard you want. And so it's like if you want to just be remote, not have employees, not have to do anything, like you can make that work. And there's people who absolutely kill. Like I think like Jacob like doesn't have any employees or whatever. Like he only has freelancers and he's killing it. There's different ways to do it, but for us, like doing some of the hard things and then leaning into those, like leveraging the hard things for the marketing and now trying to have the brand be, you have a moat where it's like, yeah, do you have a factory where you're actually like hiring people and contributing to the economy and all these things? It's like, no. Or it's like, oh, you like now, dude, the awareness is so big in the tallow market. Like we're starting to like, I want to go after the people who are just, they're sourcing somewhere else or they don't know their supply chain. They don't know the farms. And they're just like, there's a distrust now that because we did it this way, we can lean into that again, because now like the awareness level has grown in the market. So it opens up like more opportunity to, once again, like speak to people in the space, but who already have skepticism even around like natural skincare. Cause they're like, oh, it's just coming from the same factory in China. We don't even know if this is beef tallow, like that sort of thing. I'm rambling a little bit, but that process of like documenting what we've been doing has like given me energy and conviction in the marketing. And I think maybe this is where, I don't know, like it might mostly be more on like the marketing dropshipping side of people who like listen to this podcast. But I think I've seen some of the brands like come to you, like, and some of the ads you've helped them make. There's a lot of cool brands that like, dude, they have all this content and they have all this conviction. They just need like this angle to like get it on Meta and then they could freaking 10x their business. And I think that's like really cool because it's just like potential that they haven't they haven't been able to like position and then run on an ad. And then this is like one of my philosophies of building a brand. It's like, if right from the start you do something kind of different, and then you can like combine that with like the amazing tool that like Meta is, it's crazy. That this is even like, maybe you even like partner with someone who has a great product. Like I like this idea, but like they don't know how to market. It's like right away you've got so much differentiation from the person with the supplement label, the supplement brand from China that like whatever, the gummies, you know? And so it's a different way. It's a different way, but I think it's like a almost like a secret weapon for the people who maybe are coming from this, like they've built this product and they built this brand and it's sort of working, but they haven't figured out marketing. Like there's a ton of leverage to like put direct response onto that. And then like you already are differentiated. You're already unique and like you could blow that shit up. And I think you've like seen that with a few brands.
I've seen that. Yeah, that rings true to me. I mean, it's super cool what you were saying. I didn't realize you literally have a full factory and you're producing everything.
Yeah.
I got some more questions about that, but you're talking about like that moat you're building by doing that. Like I work with some brands who, I mean, the perfect brand for me is like they've got a great product, they're a product person. I come in, I do direct response marketing, and it just rips, right? And then but there's the supplement brands who are just okay, they're crushing it, but they're like all marketing. And and they're all marketing and ops, right? They have the lowest MER possible because they're killers at that stuff, right? But then I come onto some brands and like they're selling the same product or a similar product, but they can just demand a higher ROAS. And I've always wondered why that is. In fashion, it's quite big, right? Because some fashion products are just better. And I worked with one brand. We took them to 2 million a year. Bad at ops, bad at financials. They had a 13 MER at the whole time, right? But their product, they spent so much time on the product, and they had this moat, which and then you put my direct response principles into it, and it just like crushed. So there's what you're saying there rings so true to me, and it's super cool. So yeah, I think all those the drop shippers, all the people building those they're building brands now, for example. But if they build that moat somewhere, it allows them that higher ROAS, and if you apply that everything, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I want to know about the factory. Your lead times and stuff must help super well with all that stuff. Tell me about that.
Yeah, dude, I was just talking to like Ron, I think his name is. Like he's like, you've probably seen him on Twitter. He's like super smart. But I was just talking to him like yesterday about this. And we've been able to like kind of like get around so many like the problems in operation, like operationally, because our turnover was so fast. So like the only reason we could scale, and I'm like, my brother's scaling a brand now where he's like buying stuff, and I'm just seeing like, whoa, you got to put out 20 grand, you got to put out 50 grand. Like we didn't have to do that. We turned over like the next day. It was like we bought more stuff, and then like we sold it the next day, and we bought more stuff, and so we scaled. That was how we could like scale so fast, because we like turned inventory over so fast. And even still, like we got like a fractional CFO in, and now I'm like letting them go because like it's kind of simple. Like we still need to like have a plan, but we're low SKU. We turn things over very quickly, and we're not placing these like 3-month lead times. It's still like, well, now we have planning, but it's still like a week or like less than a week if we need to like pivot fast, and we can just make more product. And we recently got a US 3PL, so now that takes some time to get to them. But for Canada, because I'm in Canada, like we could literally make stuff and ship it out the next day. So yeah, we did that on Black Friday. We sold out of something, we pivoted, we made stuff on the Monday, and still got it out.
That's insane. There's a lot of people out there who's going to be like hating you. They're going to be very jealous of you, because I always say like when you've got a 3-month lead time, it's like playing in slow motion. You couldn't drive a car with like a 3-minute delay. You know what I mean? It's like impossible to plan for.
Well, I don't know if I could have done it, but I would have gotten like, yeah, I struggle with like planning. And so our planning was like, how much can we spend on ads? That was just like the planning. Now we still struggled. Like we had to slow down, and then like navigating a team and stuff. Like there were things, but Um, yeah, we never sold out of product, like really,
Yeah,
and we
like you
never
said.
will.
Yeah, I like that. It's like I like that. It's picking your hard. It
Yeah,
is. It's awesome. Yeah, one of the first brands we scaled up really quick. They had the same situation, and then I remember we spoke to. I was relatively new then. I spoke to a bunch of brands afterwards, and they were just like, how do they deal with inventory?" I was like, "Oh, they just make it in
yeah,
house,
right.
so it's quite
Yeah,
easy." And then
yeah,
now we're working with brands, and like 90% of brands don't do that, and it's just like, okay, we can we can scale. So one of the things we do is like, how well are our ads working right now? So we just like scale for like 48 hours, see how hard we can scale it. Like if we hit a winner, see how hard we can scale it, and see if we hit a ceiling on like where our ads are at.
yeah,
And for this one brand recently, it's like we just couldn't find that ceiling, and he just didn't have the stock for like 2 months, so we just had to pull back. And so, I'll tell you a story. Is like it came around like when he got the stock in, and our ads weren't working anywhere near as well. And I was just like, we need to figure this out. But then we figured it out, and now we're in the same situation where he needs to order way more stock. But it's just the feedback loop is it probably if it was able to ship within 1 week, I'd probably be double, triple revenue right now. I imagine.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a superpower.
No, it's fascinating because that's where, as we grow, there's more planning and stuff. But like I said, I think I got a kind of, we had a different kind of hard, but I didn't have to do this like these planning and these bets. And sometimes it's crazy. Like, yeah, you're like, I think we'll grow, but then you got to put out 100 grand and get that money somewhere, and then hope that you can scale again. And it's kind of crazy. That's what's weird, dude. Is like that is maybe the toughest thing. Like even the Grunes dude talked about trying to add factories and stuff like that. Like that's hard. Um, and it's not easier to have your own factory. It's just it's just different.
Yeah, it's definitely not easy to have your own factory. I think you're probably making it sound easy, making it look easy. I think my girlfriend's are a very small brand where she makes the clothes, and then she
Oh,
advertises
cool.
it, and I'm just
Yeah,
like, you're doing two businesses right now.
dude.
All right, you're doing a manufacturing business and you're
That's a
doing
great.
a marketing business.
That is exactly it, and that's where sometimes I get like frustrated because these guys are just like it's almost like it's just their ads, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I get energy from doing that, but like, and I don't. I've got a great team and my brother and stuff, but like I didn't have like a co-founder, like really, like ideally someone would have just totally owned that side. Um,
Yeah,
and to be fair, I don't do that much of it anymore. Like it's really good, but it felt like three businesses, dude. It was like manufacturing, fulfillment, and ecom, and I was like, this feels like
ecom. Yeah,
yeah, is insane.
is that yeah? It's crazy, but and you've managed to push through that level, and hopefully, it sounds like you got it crushed, and so it's just going to pay dividends in the future. So I think that's really good advice for people. If they have that skill set, they have that mindset, try and do that. And
Yeah.
obviously, it also fits with your brand super well, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Just makes
Like
sense.
there's obviously yeah. There's times when it just like wouldn't make sense. Like supplements, for instance. Like depending on what that is, like you probably don't want to get into that. But it's like if there's something simple, or it's like even if you can add a component like to it, I don't know. I think there's ways to if you can shrink that inventory timeline, if you can vertically integrate like in some aspect that actually will help you build the brand, and like it'll help you build like the marketing, and it'll help you like move faster, then you can get creative. But like yeah, it's a different animal.
Yeah, yeah, it's killer. Cool. I think I want to round up on like I want to go back to founder ads because I'm gonna talk
Yeah.
about founder ads in the title, and you got your I just want to make it clear how like good you are at founder ads. Like your ad account is basically just founder ads, right?
Yeah, like I guess maybe I'll try to give some context. I can't like share my screen, but like this year specifically, um and these were I'll get the idea if I'm sitting in my car. I'll just be like, I should do three, and I usually just do like a batch of three, same like kind of idea, but like I'll just do three different versions of it, and so I'll tell this story because it's like it's kind of a good story, and maybe it's like a good one to end on. Sometimes this is like it's like lucky. It's like someone's like, well, I don't have that story, and it's like just keep your ear open for the unique thing that you can spin into an ad. So we moved recently and was out walking and my neighbor was asking what I did for a living. And I was like, oh, I had this like skincare brand. We make beef tallow. And she was like, oh my gosh, I use beef tallow. Even though I'm a vegetarian and I love it. And I was like, no way, that's crazy. I was like, is it my brand? It was a different brand, but I was like, hey, I'll get you some of our stuff. And so I make like an ad and I literally just tell the story. And she was like attractive. She looked great. So I literally just retold the story saying, my attractive 50-year-old neighbor uses this on her skin. And I was able to just retell the story, but that's a great hook. That's a great story. And I was like, it wasn't our product, but like, I'm going to get her some of ours. But like, if you do want to check out ours, it's the highest quality. It's like, really good and call to action. And, that first one, over 5,000 purchases, 5,500 purchases in the last in the last 90 days. So moved the needle. Dude, redid that, bumped into her again walking around. And I was like, oh, she's like, I saw your your ad. I was like, that's funny. She's like, you're not going to believe this. I'm actually closer to 60. And I was like, holy shit, even better. So I go back and I go like, the hook is like attractive neighbor part 2. And I'm just in the car for this one. And I'm like, hey, this is kind of a funny story, but this video went sort of like viral for us, this ad. And like, turns out like she's like 60 and this time she like used our product and she loves our product and she's like ditched the other one. And dude, that one, that one's done almost 10,000 purchases. And so like,
No way,
once again,
part two did better.
yeah, it did. And I don't know. I think it was maybe just like slightly better ad. Like sometimes you don't know. Because it reached, obviously new audiences and stuff, which was cool. I think I showed you some of this stuff where it was like the frequency was pretty low on these. But those are probably like those like 2 ads. I don't have all the data, but that's like I think like over 500,000 in spend or something like that. So it's like this. I don't know.
Crazy.
There's different scales, but some people hear this like, it's not like really that high leverage, and it's like, well, it definitely like can be. And if you're at all like early on, this can be like, a lever that really blows up the brand. So yeah, I guess like to reiterate, don't overthink it, and pick up your phone, get started. I think daily TikToks are a great way to just don't even worry about the views that much, but just like get in the habit of making the video. And then I don't know if I mentioned this, but like the kind of the formula that I think like makes this even better is founder authenticity. But even if you don't start with that as your hook, you start with the unique, weird word. You start with a weird story thing. Like I mentioned, the plastic surgery angle. I keep getting this like storage notification, so hopefully I'm good. Start with the unique thing, and then use that as your hook, and then go into the founder credibility and then your call to action. And so I want to test that more, where it's just like, how can I find these little unique angles, see if that works as a hook, and then tie it back in.
Yeah, unreal. I mean, you're basically one thing about that. I just want to make some points on it. Like, firstly, if you're thinking about it, maybe just launch them with a part 2 if you don't have a part 1.
Yeah, dude, that's a
Add some
great.
sort of authority and trust.
There you go. That's
Social
like,
proof. I think it could be a good idea.
yeah, yeah,
And then just getting out there and like you're basically talking to customers or making customers. I always find like one of the things I say to founders is like when I speak to them, I want to buy their product, right? Because like they're always emphatic and like they love their product and you can tell that their product is really good. And like
yeah,
how can you get that emphasis across on camera? So that's all you want to do, right?
yeah.
And I think by telling a story so we're not being direct is like what you do, telling a story of you selling someone else on the product, like who you actually met, is
Yeah.
like a really good way to like sneak in almost
That
like your
yeah.
storytelling. It's the
No,
best
dude,
way.
that's a great point there. It's like you could directly say, I'm the founder, this is what I'm doing, and I'm like talking to you. But if you take them on the seller's journey with the story of someone else, it's like it feels less like they're being sold to, but they're following the whole way. And then it's like, well, I see myself in that and I want that. I'll try it. And no, that's exactly it.
Yeah, sick. Man, there's so much value in here. I think people watching this are gonna be able to like. You've answered a bunch of questions on how to make founders ads. You've answered. People ask me all the time how to make founders ads. I would like. I don't share your ad library, but if I could, I would. Because like you make the best founder ads, and like you make them so simply. Like another thing is like people come to me and just like, hey, I've got this founder shoot booked for a month's time with this videographer and stuff, and all this stuff, and I'm just like, don't cancel it, but like you need the reps, and
Yeah,
you're also like, how comfortable are you with the camera as well? Like because you're gonna freeze up. I think most of the time. I don't know. You in the UK, people are like really bad at it. In America, they're better. In Canada, probably better too. But I would just
yeah,
like try and get some reps in before that video.
yeah, and those could still be great. I know less about that, but I will say I only had that one example when like and like I've tried to do it more like I'm like, hey, can you like film a founder ad for me? And then I even that I get a little bit like, like how do I start? And so the just getting like that breaking the barrier and having your just like phone kind of like telling the story, low friction. Uh, it's even easier to do, which is cool. And then like that could be where to start, and just literally start by like a funny customer service like review. Well, you could start by literally what I said at this beginning. It's like, hey, this is my name. Like this is what we're doing. Like you could try that, but then you go like kind of weird, funny story, whatever inspiration you need. Like go to your reviews, go to something. Just start there, and then after you have that unique hook, then just go into like, yeah, and it's organic, or it's like, it's made here. People love this, here's the guarantee, whatever that is, go into that after. And then the first ones I did, I didn't edit at all. I just like put them up. And then like now I just throw like the simple minimalist captions on the bottom, and I start for the first 6 seconds with like a banner with the same unique thing. Like I mentioned the plastic surgery thing, like plastic surgery question mark, or like, whatever that might be. Like typically the ones that go off are always a specific like weird word, and that's like something you want to put in that first 6 seconds where it was like, yeah, just something like unique and edgy, like she hated it, like I don't know, like whatever it is, like, and then that's it.
Yeah, it is good.
Yeah,
Yeah, and just awesome, man. I mean, it's super valuable. I think people are going to be able to watch this, go away, shoot founder ads, and crush it. And my other point on that is like your founder ads or the stories you've told me are like things which have happened to you. If you're not comfortable shooting on camera, and you have to plan a shoot, in a month's time, right? You don't get to tell those sporadic stories, those random instances as often, or you might even forget them, right? So
yeah,
it's just like actually being able to go like, I've got this idea and I'm gonna do it now. I think
yeah,
that adds so much value. Yeah,
100%. You don't need a studio. Like sometimes it's literally when the idea hits, you can be like, okay, I'm just like I'm in my kitchen, I'm in my car. It's like the ads you actually will film are like way better than all the ones you'll never film because you were going to plan for them, right?
yeah,
So it's like
yeah,
that's it.
yeah. That's the rule. Nice. I think that's a great way to end it on. Let's go.
Awesome.
Thanks so much for your time, man.
Yeah, dude, it's a
Um,
blast.